Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Goonie here, bringing you another Arsenal talk. Of course, in this Arsenal talk, I'll cover the Galatasaray game, Champions League, and then do a little match preview to the upcoming game this weekend. Maybe go a little bit further than the Chelsea game, because right after the Chelsea game, we have our international break, which is probably important to talk about considering what happened tonight as well. Around that 57th minute, but that guy Welbs coming through. Every time he plays, he's of course he got his hat trick today against Galatasaray, and what a great hat trick as well. I mean, every single finish was clinical. It was quality. It was something that you need to see and want to see from your center forward, your striker, and especially as like his third goal. That thing was, that's a striker's finish right there. That little dink right over the goalkeeper once he committed to trying to make himself bigger and trying to throw himself to the floor to try to stop any type of shot. But all in all, it was just a great game to watch. Like I said, up to about the 57th minute. That's when everything basically changed. But you know, the game started off a little bit slow. It seemed like Arsenal was trying to find its groove. It was kind of funny, but within the first 5 minutes, these fucking announcers, I don't know where they get these guys from, or what their outline is right in front of them. I don't know if they have a sheet right in front of them saying, "Hey, within the first 5 minutes, let's take Mesut Ozil to the wood shop and let's chop him up a few times." Because that's what they are doing. Like within the first 5 minutes, it's hilarious to listen to some of these announcers who think they know what they're talking about as far as football, and they even played the game, and they're talking all this shit about about Mesut Ozil and his work rate and what he does on the pitch, and it's comical. It really is because. One of the gripes that the announcer had, I forgot his name. I forgot who the announcers were for this Champions League game, but he said, Mesut Ozil just looks lazy out there. That's the way he's always looked. If you watch him run, you watch him walk, you see his body language. That's him. That was him 5 years ago. That was him. That's going to be him 5 years from now. The way he runs, the way he carries himself, the way he handles the ball at his feet, the way he makes runs himself to try to create space for others. That's him. In all it is, this is what I call Mesut Ozil, and the way he plays, the way he looks on the pitch is just silky smooth. He's just that good of a player that he makes everything look effortless. It almost makes you wonder, is like, okay, is this guy lazy? No, that's just the way he runs. That's the way he carries himself on the pitch. It has nothing to do with him being lazy. He gets what some people, what I consider kind of red face. I used to get it when I was like younger, even now, especially when I'm like pure white. I don't have a tan going. When I'm running around a lot, and if I'm playing basketball or something like that, or back in the day when I used to play American football and stuff, doing like pickup games and stuff. My body would get overheated and I started to get like red face and stuff. And that's what Mesut Ozil does. You don't get red face from just being lazy. Okay, you get that from running your ass off and covering a lot of ground, and your body temperature is just going sky high. That's why you get the red face, and that's what Mesut Ozil gets. And it was just kind of funny. Like in the first 5 minutes, it's like, oh, he just looks lazy. That's the way he runs. If you watched him all the way back in the Real Madrid days, same thing. And people are saying, well, he should defend more. He should track back. That's not his game. That will never be his game, ever. When you're on a side such as Arsenal, who we like to thump our chest and say we're one of the biggest clubs in the world, we should have some of the best players in the world, and you shouldn't have to have your striker or even your attacking midfielder, your number 10, tracking back all the time. you even go back to Dennis Bergkamp days. Um, he didn't track back at all either. I remember watching, this guy on YouTube that I used to follow or used to subscribe to. He took his channel off, unfortunately, but he used to post games from like the Invincible days. He would used to post like one game a week, and then he would have to delete it because YouTube and other copyright infringements and all that kind of crap. So he would leave it up for like a week for people to watch. He would post like late '90s games, early 2000 games, so people can watch them. And out of the number of games that I watched, I really never saw Dennis Bergkamp track back a whole lot. But you never heard it on the telecasts of why he's not tracking back or why he's not doing this and why he's not doing that. Because he shouldn't have to, and that's not his game. That shouldn't be his game. He's an attacking midfielder. He's there for assists, creating chances, holding the ball up. Basically being the quarterback of the entire attack. And it was just kind of funny listening to these guys in the first 5 minutes. But then once Arsenal got their groove, which was around like the 8th or 9th minute, you started to see Arsenal really get into their groove. They didn't say one more thing about Mesut Ozil up until the point he got subbed out. When he got subbed out, once went down to 10 men, they're like, well, Mesut Ozil should be working a lot harder. There was no reason for him to work harder. We were well organized. We were compact. He covered his ground. When you're playing with 10 men, you're basically in a certain area, and you have to basically stay there because you have no other options. And even when we pushed forward, when we did look dangerous, even with 10 men, when we hit him on the counterattack, he was right upfield with Sanchez, with Welbeck, with everybody. And then of course he got subbed off, but it was kind of funny in between like the 5th minute until the time he got subbed off. They didn't say a fucking thing about him. But the other funny thing they said about him too is, well, he's a great player and he has all this talent and stuff like that. Okay, well, which is it? He's either a lazy player or he's a great player. You can't be one or the other. So it's just funny of listening to these stupid commentators, the stupid media members, thinking they know what they're talking about, and they act like they never seen a player play before, and that's what it seems like with Mesut Ozil. And running this 4-2-3-1, when we run it for 2 games now, a goal and 2 assists, Aston Villa and now the Galatasaray game. I know he played the 4-2-3-1 in the last about 30 minutes or so of the Tottenham game, but when we start in that formation and we end in that formation, great things happen, and you saw it today. This is the Arsenal that we want to see. This is the Arsenal we want to see from game in and game out. This is the formation you want to see. If I was Mesut Ozil, I'd be walking around the training ground anytime that Arsene Wenger came up and talked to me. I was like, well, how are you doing today, Mesut? I'd just be like 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1. That's all I would say for the rest of the fucking season. Because if you watch the game and man, you just saw him and Santi just boss that midfield. I mean, they were in control the entire time. They knew what they were doing, especially when they got together. As well. Sometimes, Santi would be on the right side of the pitch and Mesut would be on the left side of the pitch. Sometimes they would be both be in the center. Sometimes they would be both on the left and the right. Just like getting in those triangles and just those one-touch passes that they're so good at, and they were just like bossing that midfield. And Galatasaray had no answer for them whatsoever. They try to hit us on the counter maybe like 2 times. They got their formation all wrong too, going with that, I think it was the 3-5-2. And, when you're trying to do that 3-5-2, you're trying to really compact that midfield. But when you combat it with a 4-2-3-1, there's so much space extra because, the wingers are spaced out on the touchline. The center forwards all the way up on their high line as far as you can go. And then you have all this other space that Santi and Ozil can run into, and you just saw that one-touch passing going non-stop between those two, and they just bossed that entire game up to up until Szczesny got fucking sent off. And it was just fun to watch, from when they got the groove about the 8th or 9th minute up until Szczesny got sent off. I mean, it was so much fun to watch, watching all the space that was created, especially after we got that first goal from Danny Welbeck. It opened up so much more. I mean, it scared the shit out of Galatasaray to the point that they had to switch to a back four, which is funny, and that didn't even work either because that looked even worse than what they were really playing at. And people are saying, well, it's not the old Galatasaray of old, but still, they have real players on that team. They have real players, and when it comes to Champions League, they do very well. For the last 2 seasons, I want to say for the last 2 seasons that they made it to the quarterfinals each of the last 2 years. And you can't get to that stage without being a real team with real players. You just can't get there. Like, especially the last 2 years. I know they're missing, likes of Drogba and having that kind of force up top, but at the same time, you still have a Schneider, you still have Felipe Melo, who should have been sent off, which is absolutely ridiculous. That challenge that he made against Alexis Sanchez was just absolutely ridiculous. I remember twice last year, Matthew Flamini did that twice last year. One time in the Southampton game, he got sent off right away. No yellow card or nothing. Sent off immediately. Felipe Melo's feet, they were off the ground. Spikes showing, studs up and everything. That was a dirty, dirty challenge, and he should have been sent off immediately. But of course, what can we expect from fucking referees? We always get fucked. It seems like every single game we get fucked out of some type of call. Of course, Szczesny, he makes a challenge. Of course, he was basically like last man, and it was a goal scoring opportunity, but he gets sent off, no yellow or no nothing. I thought first when he was running up to him that he might just give him a yellow and kind of making up for the Felipe Melo call, because that was a ridiculous non-red call. They were targeting, even, after that second goal, they were targeting Alexis Sanchez. There was like 2 or 3 more challenges made on him after that, and it was just ridiculous that the referee kept on letting them do this. Of course, he was showing Galatasaray yellow cards, but there's a point in time when you're a referee that you gotta just say fuck it and give someone a red card to send a message. And of course, one of our guys had to send a message. You saw the Flamini challenge against Wesley Schneider, and that was a straight yellow that he got right away. But that was sending a message, and Wesley Schneider, he didn't make any bones about it. He got up and he just walked away from it because he knew it was coming. That's a true professional there when he knows that, okay, yeah, this is payback for all of our stupid other challenges that my teammates are making. And it was nice to see that. Of course we don't want him to get sent off, but it was nice to see Flamini say, fuck you guys. If you're going to make these type of challenges, I'm going to do this against your best player too, and see how you guys like it. After that, you didn't see really too many more harsh challenges against Alexis Sanchez after that. But the only concern about Alexis Sanchez, of course, when he came out of the game, when he got subbed out, he had an ice pack on his ankle, and he was kind of hunched over on the chair. I don't know if he was. I hope that's just for him being tired, or he knows he's kind of he has an injury that might keep him out for the next game or two, which is cause for concern. So. Hopefully today or tomorrow we hear some good news that it's just like a little knock, and that he's going to be able to play, especially this weekend, because we're going to need him. But one of the other goals that I want to talk about is Mesut Ozil to Alexis Sanchez. That Alexis Sanchez's goal. That should be a staple of Arsenal football right now, especially with a guy like a number 10, one of the best number 10s in the world, like Mesut Ozil. That's him in a nutshell. Not too many other players would see that pass and know that pass and know to make that pass, and for it to be perfect. I mean, that thing was perfectly weighted. I think that's why too a lot of people are saying, "Oh God, I can't wait till Theo Walcott's coming back," because that's a run that Theo Walcott would have made too. And that's a run that we saw our other world-class player, Alexis Sanchez, make. Get behind the defense and you just saw that perfect pass. I mean, Alexis Sanchez didn't need to slow down. It was a perfect pass to where when he started coming up to him, he started slowing down. He knew where he was, and he just did a little cutback, and he finished it with class. And that's what we were lacking last year, especially last year at Arsenal when Theo went down. We were missing that extra finisher. When we only had Olivier Giroud basically on the pitch most of the year as our only finisher, because Aaron Ramsey was out for quite some time. Santi Cazorla wasn't exactly in form, and we just didn't have enough goal scorers. We didn't have enough finishers. Now you're looking at Alexis Sanchez, of course. You're looking at Danny Welbeck now as a great finisher, possibly a great finisher. I'll say possibly, not a great finisher yet. He still has some stuff to prove, but it's a step in the right direction. And of course, you have Theo Walcott coming back. Oxlade-Chamberlain scored against the Scum. I'm sure in the next, of course, 6 weeks or so, once Aaron Ramsey comes back, once he comes back into the fold, that's another finisher that we're gonna have and we're gonna need, especially going into the heart of the season. But that Alexis Sanchez goal, and that pass from Ozil, and the finish, that should be a staple of Arsenal football going forward. And it was just beautiful to watch. Of course, like I said, Danny Welbeck with the hat trick, with the little dink at the end to score his hat trick, his first ever hat trick as a professional. That was nice to see, and that's just going to give him a whole bunch of confidence. And in just like Mesut Ozil, Danny Welbeck should be telling Arsene Wenger too, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1 all damn day, because you saw how dangerous we were, even against a real side like Galatasaray. But in the 57th minute, something happened. That game we should have came away with at least, it should have been 6-0 easily, because we were still threatening. Even when we were down to 10 men, we were still threatening. But Szczesny, who knows what goes through that guy's head sometimes. The fact that he made that challenge, which was just ridiculous. I don't know why he just didn't make himself bigger and try to cut him off, because you can rush the attacker and make yourself bigger and try to make a different decision out of it, or even you might get lucky and you make yourself bigger and you can deflect anything coming out your way. But for him to make that challenge when he had no business making that challenge, because he wasn't going to get there in time, and of course he didn't. And instead of making his arms bigger to try to at least get a nick on the ball, as long as you get a nick on the ball, the referee's not going to call anything. I don't know why he has his arms so close to his body, and it was just dumb. It was a dumb challenge. He did it last year against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and now he did it again this year. And now he's going to be out against the Anderlecht game coming up in, about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks? About 2.5 weeks, I believe. I have to look up the date here. Come on. October 22nd is our next Champions League game, and that's away at Anderlecht. Of course, our Spina came in. Unfortunately, he had to come in, of course, for a PK. Couldn't stop it, of course. He went the other way, which kind of killed our goal differential, too. That's why I was like pulling the hair out of my head almost, thinking, we're already -2 in a goal differential, because in a group like this, with Dortmund and Arsenal basically the favorites to get out of the group, that the goal differential is going to be huge. And now, we're +1, and I think Dortmund is something like +5 right now. Some way, somehow, if we can beat Dortmund by 2-0, hopefully, or something, or maybe some other teams can scrape a goal or two by them, or get a result and get a draw or something like that. But that's why I was pulling my hair, because we had 5 or 6 goals out there for us today, because that's how bad Galatasaray was today. because they couldn't stop anything that we were going to do. But Ospina came in. He made some good saves. He looked good for someone who didn't get a chance to warm up, to really get into the game, to get his mind right. Coming right off the bench like that, it's difficult for any goalkeeper. Whether you're a really great goalkeeper or whether you're really poor, it doesn't really matter. It's tough to come into even a Champions League game of that type of status, because going into the game, today's game was it was basically like a must win. It was a must 3 points. And Ospina showed well. He made a couple good saves, and I almost think do what Pellegrini did to Joe Hart last year. Sit his ass down. Sit Szczesny's ass down for 2 or 3 weeks, and let Ospina just go out there. Even if Wenger starts Szczesny against Chelsea, coming in after the international break, we have Hull City on Saturday the 18th, and then we have Anderlecht on Wednesday the 22nd, and that's in Belgium. Either way, you have to start Ospina in that Hull City game, just to get him a game, to get him focused, and to get him some confidence going into that Champions League game. So either way, honestly, I would just say, Szczesny, go sit down, take a breather, have a cup of coffee, do something, go get laid or something. Whatever's cluttering in your mind to make you a bad goalie right now, get that out of your system, and then you can bring him back. Possibly even after the Champions League game, but who knows? Maybe Ospina just goes on a tear and just becomes a brick wall back there in goal and lets nothing come through. And this is a great reason why we went out and got Ospina, that we got another good class goalkeeper to come into Arsenal because of moments like this. Fabianski, yeah, he was good, but I would rate Ospina a lot higher than Fabianski. And this is his chance. This is Ospina's chance to really show that he can be a number one goalkeeper, especially for Arsenal. So this is his moment to shine. This is his moment to take a hold of the reins. Who knows what's going to happen on Saturday at Chelsea, if Szczesny's going to be sat down or if he's going to play. Either or, I'd rather see Ospina. After that, you might want to just say, Szczesny, go take a seat for a little while. Wenger did that in the 12 and 13 season to get a little bit more focus with Szczesny and have him take his position a lot more serious, and to not go off the reservation like he has been. Because that's been his kind of like MO throughout his career so far, to where he just doesn't have that discipline or the maturity level yet to be that world-class goalkeeper that he can be. So hopefully Ospina gets a nice run of games, and hopefully he shows well. If he plays against Chelsea this weekend, that's going to be a tough test for him. Trying to command that back forward, trying to get all the communication right between him and BFG, and then of course whoever decides to play at the DM spot, which looks like it's going to be Flamini. You never know; it might even be Diaby playing in that game against Chelsea. But going back to the Champions League game, I mean, even when we were down to 10 men, we were still dangerous on that. We should have scored at least like 2 more goals. That run that Danny Welbeck made, oh man, I mean, he was just flying past people, making, he did a little scoop turn, did a little scoop over the defender, ran right past him, got up to the ball, got up to the next guy. Throughout the whole game, you saw Welbeck's pace, his strength, his skill, his ability to finish. I mean, you saw it all in one game. That could be Danny Welbeck, for the rest of his career at Arsenal. This is what he probably needed. And you can see game by game with Danny Welbeck that he's getting more comfortable within the system. He's getting more comfortable with his teammates. He's understanding, I think, a lot more and more of what kind of runs that Ozil and Sanchez and Jack or Ramsey or Santi, that they want him to run. You even saw on, I think, it was his first goal that Sanchez assisted on. He he told, he showed Sanchez where he wanted the ball, and Sanchez put it on a plate for him, and he finished it like a class uh, center forward. And it was just great to see. If we can get that type of output from him, I'm not saying a hat trick every fucking game, because the only other two Arsenal players that have ever done that is, of course, Thierry Henry and Nicholas Bentner. But if we can get him to put out that kind of output, say 60, 65, even 70% of our games, I mean, sky's the limit for us. Of course, then too, we have to stick with this formation. We just can't keep on flip flopping formations. And it's obvious, like him and Ozil, they work well together. And it seems like when we have pacey wingers, like we've been screaming for, since Theo's not in the team yet, we've been screaming for Ox on one side and Sanchez on the other. We're so dangerous with that amount of pace, with that amount of skill, with that amount of even strength. Even for a little guy, Alexis Sanchez is a strong player, and of course Ox, you saw some of his skills on display tonight. And you just saw even his strength too, that he can take on defenders, and he can hold off defenders as well. So I mean, even when Walcott comes back, I mean, it's just going to be so dangerous. I mean, if he continues to play Santi at that CM role, I was kind of scared at first, I'm not going to lie, because Santi isn't the greatest defender in the world, mostly because of his size. Unfortunately, he's kind of handicapped by his, he's like what, 5'4", 5'5" at most, probably like 140, 145 pounds. I mean, you could push that, you could blow that kid over, just with one swoop, and that's what I was kind of concerned with. But I mean, they bossed that midfield, and he played great. This was one of Santi's best games this season. You could look at the Everton game, and even the Scum game that he played well in as well. But this was his best game, and if this is going to be his position, yeah, fuck it, leave him in there. Have him and Ozil just boss that midfield and just take the game over, because that's what they did the entire time they were out there on the pitch. But all in all, it was a great game. It was the best game that we've seen of Arsenal this year. It was even better than the first half against Aston Villa, where we just dominated. If you look at our last three games, Aston Villa, the 4-2-3-1. The Tottenham game, the last 30 minutes we played the 4-2-3-1. This game we played the 4-2-3-1. We dominated. We completely dominated those games. It was unfortunate that we didn't get the game-winning goal against the Scum, but it was there. We were creating chances. It opened up so much more. We had more people in the box. We had more support to Danny Welbeck up front. And sky's the limit for that kid. Sky's the limit if we stick with this formation. It could be, it could be our kickstart to our season, because we've looked, unimpressive. Especially in that other formation, the 4-3-3 or the 4-1-4-1 crap. But again, this weekend we get a tough test. I'm not gonna say that Chelsea looked fucking dominant, in their Champions League game, because they only won 1-0. But it's gonna be tough. When you have Diego Costa fully rested. I know he has a little bit of a hamstring issue and stuff, and he's not really training, but it doesn't seem like he even needs it right now, because he has eight goals in the Premier League already. He's just like dominating up top, and it just doesn't seem, of course, when you have a guy like Fabregas, dealing them the ball, and opening up those spaces, and hitting them with that perfect pass almost every single time, it's tough to stop. When you have William on one side, Hazard on the other, maybe Oscar, which I think is overrated anyway, and then of course you have that midfield of Ramirez and Matic, and that's just a headache. The only good thing about playing Chelsea maybe is their back four doesn't look as dominant as it was last year. At least that's just my opinion. Of course, John Terry, fuck him, but he's getting. He's really, really showing his age, in my opinion. And Cahill doesn't look like the same player, that same dominant player that he was last year. Ivanovic looks okay, but he hasn't looked that impressive this year. Aspilicueta. Yeah, okay. That's a little of a tire right there, but he hasn't even looked as impressive as he was last year. So the possibilities are there, but again, you take that front line in their midfield, and it's going to be a tough game. Um, like everybody's saying right now, we're going to be forced to play defensive on that day, and who knows if who's healthy and who's not. Is Sanchez going to play? Hopefully, Tagadi plays. Is Flamini going to play, or is Diaby going to play? Who knows what they're going to throw out there. I really, really hope that if we do get a ball and stuff, that we don't press forward as far as our fullbacks. And if we do press forward on our fullbacks, Gibbs only, because Gibbs has the pace to get back. Chambers just doesn't have that type of pace, and he's going to have his hands full this weekend, especially with Hazard and whoever else they got coming in from behind. They got at any time, sometimes you see Willian and Hazard on the same side of the pitch. So that's going to be kind of a headache for him, especially being that young. I know he's used to playing right back. He played for right back in Southampton last year, and he's used to kind of like that pressure. But I hope to God they tell him, you know what, just stay in line with BFG and Koscielny and just cover that back line as much as possible, because it's just going to be a tough game. It's going to be a fast-paced game, especially it being at Stamford Bridge. It seems like Chelsea is always a different team at Stamford Bridge, and of course there's no love lost between Arsene Wenger and of course Jose Mourinho. And I pray to God it's not another 6-0. Maybe like 2 weeks ago I would have said, yeah, it's going to be another 6-0, 7-0 even, or something, just the way that Chelsea's been playing. I hope to God that we have players that show up this time. I know we were killed by injury last year when we played Chelsea. That's not an excuse, by the way. We got just absolutely murdered last year, but we're going to have Ozil in this game. Hopefully we'll have Sanchez in this game. Of course we'll have Santi possibly in that CM role. We'll have the Ox on the right side instead of that CM role that he played last year. Hopefully the referee can he can he knows who Kieran Gibbs is and Oxlade-Chamberlain is. Maybe they'll show him some pictures before the game to distinguish between the two and who's who. Maybe he can read the back of their jerseys to understand who is who this time around. But yeah, it's just going to be a really tough game. I just hope they stick through it. Of course, this game is going to give them an uplift. It's going to give them confidence going into this game. I'm hoping for a draw. That's the best I can say, because even right now, even coming after this Galatasaray game, I don't even have the confidence to say that we can beat Chelsea right now, especially without that DM, without that world-class DM that we've all been screaming for. But in this game, I mean, we're going to have Chambers in line with BFG and Koscielny. We're going to have Flamini within 5 yards of those guys. Counter-attacking football is going to be our best bet, I hope. And we'll have the pace to do that too, because Espilicueta and Ivanovic, even Matic, they don't have the greatest pace in the world. They're very slow. And then if you add in John Terry, he's a fucking turtle back there. The only one that has any type of real decent pace is Cahill. But sometimes when he can't even read the game right, and we can get a guy like Welbeck or Sanchez or even the Ox in behind. So hopefully, of course the homer in me is hoping for a win, and that we can go to Stamford Bridge and shut those fuckers up and get a win. But the unbiased in me says that unfortunately I think we're going to lose. I just hope it's not another 6-0. I hope it's maybe like a 2-1 game, maybe like a 3-1 game or something like that. That's what I'm hoping for. What I'm really hoping for, of course, is at least a draw, at least a result, to get a point out of it. Because that'll be good. That's taking a step in the right direction from last year. But hopefully we stick in this formation. We don't see Ozil on the left side. Hopefully we see him in that number 10 role. Hopefully we see Santi again in that CM role. But I have a sneaky feeling that even after this game that it's very possible that Jack Wilshere might start at that CM spot instead of Santi, which is not bad. But at the same time, if Ozil and Santi are kind of forming this like little kind of like on-field or pitch relationship that they can count on each other to kind of boss that midfield. I mean, you don't want to break that up at all. But Wenger's Wenger. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants, and he's never going to listen to us, unfortunately. But hopefully it's a good result this weekend. Hopefully we'll see a good team sheet going into the game, and I just hope for the best right now. But again, staying in this formation, it can only benefit us. We're going to have most of our guys back for this game instead of last year where we were so injury depleted. So hopefully it's just a great game altogether, and hopefully it's a good game to watch. Of course, this has been like the marquee, like the third or fourth game in a row that Arsenal's been like the marquee game of the weekend. So. But after that, it looks pretty promising after this Chelsea game. We got Hull City, Anderlecht, Sunderland, Burnley, Anderlecht, Swansea City, and then maybe our next real big test is Manchester United on the 22nd. And that's at home, and God, do I want to beat the shit out of them. And hopefully Welbeck can turn up to that game and just like poke his nose out at them. And especially Van Gaal. There's been a lot of funny pictures going around with Van Gaal and a lot of captions under it saying that we want Danny Welbeck back because he has more goals combined between Falcao and RV Prick. So that's kind of funny to see as well. But yeah, that'll be it. And if you have